Welcome home to philosophy, where we wonder about everything and anything is possible. Hi, I'm Dr. Robert Corey, the Laughing Philosopher. Life is complicated, the world is complicated, and you are complicated. Figuring out how to live a happy, meaningful life, guided by wisdom and reason, is not easy. Is life a game? What is love? Should I fear death? Is this a just world? Almost from the moment of birth, you've been told how to behave, how to fit in, and how to fulfill other people's expectations. You fear that you will lack importance or cease to exist in the lives of others if you think for yourself and question the rules and roles you've been told define you. Wisdom and reason will remove this illusion so you can live authentically in the world around you, find your true purpose, and become your real self. Welcome to episode number 122. How great minds solved life's everyday dilemmas. What would Siddhartha, Kierkegaard, Weil, and Nietzsche do? We all face moments in life when the road splits, when no answer feels certain, and when doing nothing feels just as risky and perilous as doing the wrong thing. These are moral dilemmas, not puzzles of logic, but matters of the soul, decisions that shape who we are and who we become. And the frightening truth is, no one can make them for us. Yet, deciding alone is terrifying. That is why people through history have asked, not what should I do, but a more human question. What would someone wiser do? What would someone do whose life I deeply respect? What would Jesus do? What would Siddhartha, the founder of Buddhism, do? What would Kierkegaard do? What would Simone Weil do? What would Nietzsche do? We do this instinctively because it is easier and often wiser to imitate a proven way of being than to invent one from scratch at the moment of crisis. When our vision is clouded, it is wiser to borrow the eyes of those who see more clearly. We step for a moment into the moral imagination of someone whose soul is more awake than ours. Today, we will enter 4 such imaginations. 4 real human beings who faced 4 everyday dilemmas, who stood exactly where we stand, at a crossroads, unsure. And through their wisdom and actions, perhaps we will find our own way forward. Chapter 1. Should I quit my job or endure the daily stress and frustration in order to learn and grow? What did Siddhartha do? Siddhartha Gautama, heir to a royal life of effortless comfort, began with everything most people spend their lives trying to acquire: wealth, prestige, fame, power, status, security, praise, luxury, servants waiting silently to fulfill his slightest desire. And yet, for reasons he could not explain, Siddhartha felt an invisible dissatisfaction, as if the very comforts of his life were a golden cage. He could not sleep at night without imagining that something essential was missing and being lost, not outside, not in the world, but inside himself. Each morning, the palace musicians would play. The perfumed air would carry the scent of lilies. And yet for Siddhartha, something felt dead. He began to suspect that a life without difficulty slowly kills the soul, that a life of pleasure all the time will not make him a better person, that a life without confrontation is a life without awakening. Siddhartha decided to escape. But he did not leave immediately. Siddhartha stayed. He observed. He paid attention. He did not react to boredom with rebellion, but with inquiry. Only when he understood the nature of his dissatisfaction, that it came not from his life and circumstances, but from ignorance of the truth, only then did Siddhartha leave. Not as an act of escape, but as an adventure of discovery. His departure was not impulsive. He was not quitting a job out of irritation, frustration, or wounded pride. He was leaving because staying had become morally impossible. Remaining would have been spiritual death. Siddhartha teaches that the question is never, do I like my current situation? The real question is there still something for me to learn here? If the answer is yes, then stay with fierce attention. Hard places can be the best teachers. If the answer is no, if the soul has outgrown the role, then leave with clarity, with solemn commitment, not with dramatic despair. For Siddhartha, endurance is sacred when it transforms you. Escape is sacred when it awakens you. He left his royal palace and his life only when staying became a form of moral sleep. And that is the standard he offers us. Notice that Siddhartha does not ask whether he feels happy or unhappy, fulfilled or unfulfilled. He asks only whether his soul is still learning. This is the question most of us never think to ask. We leave or stay for reasons of comfort, resentment, ego, convenience, but rarely in the pursuit of wisdom. The danger of staying is not in being uncomfortable. The danger is in being comfortably asleep. To imitate Siddhartha is not to flee difficulty, nor to endure misery. It is to treat every circumstance as a teacher, until the moment it no longer teaches, no longer awakens, but only sedates. Buddha is a title. It means awakened one. Siddhartha is often called the man who woke up. Sometimes we just need to wake up, like Siddhartha. Chapter 2. Everyone around me is marrying. Should I marry just to be normal? What did Kierkegaard do? Soren Kierkegaard loved one woman in this world, Regine Olsen, more fiercely than anyone would ever know. He had proposed to her. She had said yes. Their families were preparing the celebration. By every social norm and expectation, marriage was his next step. But something inside him would not rest. He feared not marriage, but the possibility of entering it without truth, with even 1 ounce of dishonesty and self-deception. He did not believe marriage was wrong. He believed marriage was holy, too holy to be entered just because the clock of society said it was time. He feared that if he married without moral necessity, without God commanding it inwardly, then he would destroy both her life and his own in a false union dressed up to look true. So Kierkegaard did the unthinkable. He broke off the engagement, not out of coldness, but reverence. And then, to ensure she would move on, he deliberately encouraged her to believe he was morally unworthy of her love. He let himself be misunderstood permanently and forever because he believed suffering for truth is better than living comfortably in a lie. For Kierkegaard, the question is not, is everyone else doing it? Nor is it, will I be lonely if I do not? The question is, does my deepest conscience say that this union is commanded or merely available? He would rather be alone and truthful than married and self-deceived. Kierkegaard teaches that it is possible to wound someone more deeply by marrying them for the wrong reason than by breaking their heart to honor truth. Kierkegaard forces a hard question on us. Are you about to commit to something permanent merely because the timing feels socially correct? Because you fear standing out? Because you cannot bear the discomfort of disappointing others? He teaches that marriage, or any irreversible life choice, is not validated by consensus, but by inward necessity. Better to suffer misunderstanding than to enter a life that will rot slowly from quiet self-betrayal. If you are not gripped from the inside by truth, Kierkegaard says, wait. Chapter 3. Should I have children just because that is what is expected of me? What did Simone Weil do? Simone Weil was born into a loving and cultured family. She was admired for her sharp mind, her compassion, and her political courage. Everyone assumed she would eventually marry, bear children, and continue the family line. But Simone felt no inner pull toward that path, not from repression or trauma, but from clarity. She believed love was not possession, not biology, and not destiny assigned by tradition. For Simone, love means clarity, the rare and sacred act of seeing another soul purely, without trying to use or manipulate it. She chose voluntary celibacy, not as a rejection of life, but the opposite, as a radical commitment to serving what she called the afflicted, the overlooked, the suffering, and the unseen among us. She worked in factories. She starved herself in solidarity with wartime prisoners. She believed that the human soul must be absolutely free to love without obligation. To bring a child into the world when one is not called to it is not virtue, but vanity or fear. Simone Weil would say, the question is not, will others be disappointed in me? Nor is it, will I miss out on something others claim is fulfilling? Her question is this act born from love or from inertia, from awakening or from conformity, from need or expectation? She teaches that not every path of life must include children, that the highest forms of love may demand a different form of sacrifice. To refuse motherhood for her was not a loss, but an act of the most ethical honesty. Simone Weil does not reject motherhood. She rejects unchosen destiny. She rejects conformity without freedom. She refuses to assume that what is expected of us must also be necessary. Her life is a warning against unconscious obedience to the expectations of others. Simone reminds us that love is not proven by what the world calls normal. Love is proven by commitment, and true commitment requires freedom. To the question of children, Simone Weil leaves us this. Are you willing to appear abnormal or even strange in order to be radically honest about what love requires of you? And chapter 4. The person I love does not love me. Now what? What did Nietzsche do? Friedrich Nietzsche, one of the fiercest spirits in modern philosophy, proposed marriage 3 times to the same brilliant woman, Lou Salome, and was rejected 3 times. He was not only refused, he was humiliated. She did not return his passion. She preferred intellectual companionship over romantic surrender. And Nietzsche, who had poured his soul into the belief that she might walk with him through life, was shattered. But he made a decision. He would not turn bitterness into his identity. He would not become a slave to resentment. Instead, he transformed rejection into fuel for transformation. If love was denied him, then let that wound carve him into something stronger, freer, more blazing with spiritual fire. Nietzsche would write of the love of fate, to not merely endure what happens to us, but to choose it, embrace it, say yes even to the unbearable. The wound is real, but it is not final. He refused to demand that life give him what he wanted. He demanded instead that he become the kind of being who could use every loss in the service of greatness. Nietzsche would say, "The true error is not in loving someone who does not love you. The true error is allowing someone else's inability to love you, to diminish your will to become greater than you are. Rejection is not a verdict. It is a summons to self-creation." You have been rejected, betrayed, unwanted. Human instinct is to shrink, to interpret the wound as evidence of your unworthiness. But Nietzsche insists the wound is not a verdict. It is raw material. The question is not, why me? Why did this happen to me? The question is, what strength can I forge from this that would have been impossible without it? Bitterness is the coward's choice to remain smaller than the pain, becoming larger than it. That is Nietzsche's courageous advice to us. Chapter 5. The everyday dilemmas we face today are not new. The pain of uncertainty, of desire, of rejection, of moral risk, these are ancient. What changes is not the question, only the role model we choose to follow. There is courage in choosing alone, but there is wisdom in not pretending we must. We become strong not by isolating ourselves from the great souls of the past, but by apprenticing ourselves to them, by quietly asking in our most serious moments, what would someone do who sees more clearly than I do right now? And then, not merely admiring the answer, but learning from it and imitating it. In the end, good character is not discovered. It is borrowed first, then practiced, until what began as imitation becomes at last our own. If today challenged you to see your life's dilemmas through clearer and more courageous eyes, I promise we have only just begun. In the next episode, we'll enter even deeper waters, where Aristotle redefines what real friendship actually is. Camus teaches how to live without guarantees. Socrates risks everything for the truth, and Dietrich Bonhoeffer confronts the darkest questions of moral responsibility. If what you heard today stirred something in you, then the next 4 stories will only deepen it. When we're young, we naturally look up to heroes. We admire great athletes because they show us what the human body can achieve. We admire gifted actors, musicians, and entertainers because they reveal the heights of creativity and imagination. They deserve our admiration. But when life asks its hardest questions, whom should I love? What kind of person should I become? When should I stay? When should I leave? What is worth sacrificing for? They are asking questions those heroes were never meant to answer. For those questions, we need different guides. We need men and women who spent their lives wrestling with truth, who suffered, who doubted, who failed, who loved, who lost, and who emerged with hard-earned wisdom. People like Siddhartha, Aristotle, Kierkegaard, Simone Weil, Nietzsche, Camus, Socrates, and Bonhoeffer. They didn't know everything, but they knew what matters. And perhaps that's the greatest lesson of all. A good life is not built by admiring the people who can run the fastest, sing the loudest, or become the most famous. A good life is built by learning from those who discovered how to live with courage, integrity, compassion, and wisdom. Choose your heroes carefully, my friend, because sooner or later, you become like the people you admire.